In 2022, 3 physicists, John Clauser, Alan Aspect, and Anton Zeilinger, won the Nobel Prize for Physics for experiments that confirmed that the universe is not really real. This week, the Jackalopes will explore the nature of reality. I'm Floyd Whiting.
I'm Aaron Linden.
I'm Steve Blues Clues Sisson.
And I guess I'm Hemi Whiting. How am I supposed to follow that, man?
You do. It is kind of Blues Clues.
It is. I've had this shirt
Steve
for like 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, yeah. Aw.
We should get him a pup and just put it there with the rest of it.
Yes. Blues would fit right in there.
So, freelance scientific journalist Dan Garstow sums it up when he wrote, "In this context, real means that objects have definite properties, independent of observation. An apple can be red even when no one is looking. Local means objects can be influenced only by their surroundings and that any influence cannot travel faster than light." It's a universal rule, right? Investigations at the frontiers of quantum physics have found that these things cannot both be true. Instead of evidence that shows that objects are not influenced solely by their surroundings, as they may also lack definite properties prior to measurement. What does that mean?
That's my question. What
They
does that
do
mean?
not have definite properties prior to measurement, meaning that a particle can be anything before it is observed. Unless it is observed, that energy potential can be anything at all. Which essentially means until somebody looks at a wall, the wall does not exist. Until somebody looks at this particular particle, that particle and its properties can be anything. So, in that, the nature of the world around us is only the way that it is because someone has observed it before us. Meaning that if someone was not here before us to observe the object did not exist. That's what that means.
And that's our show.
So it's like the double slit
It is, yeah.
experiment,
Yeah.
right?
Let's break it down to the double slit.
So a double slit experiment was basically they put slits in a board and shot particles through it. Now you would expect that there would just be particles received on the other end in a slit. The ones that didn't make it through hit the other wall, didn't make it through, and so you have 2 lines on the other side. It only acted that way when it was observed. When it wasn't observed, it made more of a wave pattern going through there. So they tried to leave the camera there and unplug it to trick the particles. But because somebody was still observing it, it acted in the way that the particles thought they should act. So when it wasn't observed, it gave an entirely different pattern. Meaning, particles are smart.
Somehow.
So when they were doing the waves, was it people observed it from the camera?
The result.
Or,
The
okay.
result.
Okay.
They
It was only
observed
the
the
result.
results. And we've, like, you hear this a lot now, people walking around referring the fantastic 90s movies of The Matrix, right? Oh, we live in a matrix, everything's a computer simulation, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say that is the baseline of what I want you to think about. But I want you to raise your consciousness a little bit higher when we actually talk about this stuff, because don't sit there and think, well, I'm hooked up somewhere. You could be, but I really don't think that's what it is. I think this is the nature of reality itself as we've always known it, but we haven't discovered that this is the nature of reality. Meaning because something alive was always there before us observing these particles. Someone has seen that table before I have. So in their observation of the energy that creates that table was created. And before that table was created into a table, it was a piece of wood, which was created by somebody observing that. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it, does it make any sound? No, because there is no forest. There is no tree. There's no one there to observe it. Once it's observed, once it's measured, the particle takes its form. And I'm not totally sure, and I don't think anyone else really is, if the particles remain in that form when we walk away. I guess that could be the big question, and one that can never, ever really be proven or tested, right? Because to get the answer to that question, we have to observe that object. And if you put a camera on it, if you take a picture of it and then come back, take another picture, a universal memory has already been imprinted on the universe itself, right? The lonesome road out in the middle of nowhere that somebody cut 10,000 years ago is still there, and it always will be there because that universally has been imprinted upon consciousness itself. So that's what I say when I say think bigger. It's not the individual living in the universe. We are experiencing, creating all of this together. Whether we all be one consciousness divided into 10,000 billion little pieces, or if we are actually independent of each other, energy independent of each other. Somewhere along the way, we have what I theorize is like a universal memory, so that when I observe a particle and I measure it, that measurement goes into the memory so that you can come along and observe that particle later on.
See, but and it gets more to like, because we were talking about this the other day. We sit in the studio.
Steve's squeaking his chair.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to make me giggle.
So, yeah, well, does that chair squeak when we're not here?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, but if we're sitting in the studio and having this conversation, does the rest of the outside world even exist right now? Or is it rendered when you go into it?
That's how video games work.
That's why Unreal Engine is so amazing, is because it doesn't render the entire city, let's say. Mm-hmm. It only renders what you're observing.
What you need at the moment.
Yeah, and as you walk into that area, then it starts forming those areas in front of you.
And as we all know, if you're a gamer and you play, you leave. Well, does that exist right now? If I slip my Quest back on, I'm back in my place. All my stuff's where I left it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't exist. It's not there.
Yeah.
But when I go there, I'm like, I know that thing is right there.
And you can interact with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On some level, that interaction. Now, I want you to fast forward video games by 10,000 years. Where will we be when we've got Unreal Engine 85?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, to the something power.
You can sit back, load up, and experience an entire life without ever leaving where you are truly physically at.
Right.
But let's go even farther and say that there is no physical presence at all. That your consciousness is creating the reality around you. There is no physical body. There is no, I can unplug this and get out of the game. This is reality itself. You are a physical manifestation of thought itself. And the way that you perceive the world around you is based on our five senses, right? A sixth one that I like to say that we have. I believe that we have a sixth sense that we just haven't developed. That feeling when your hair stands up on the back of your neck, that's the sixth sense, at least in my theory. So I believe that, I don't believe, but like there's a theory that try to imagine no physicality whatsoever. You and I were having this conversation the other day. You and I have talked about it. What if you are God and to experience what it's like to be mortal man, you have put yourself in this position, and everybody else around you isn't even real.
An NPC.
They're an NPC.
Non-playable
They're
character.
a non-playable character that's
Yep.
been developed by you to help you grow farther along as a infinite spirit. This could be an experiment. This could be, who knows? Yes.
I need some different NPCs in my download
Right,
sometimes.
Yeah.
You know those people?
Yeah.
You're like interacting with them. You're like, oh,
Why are
man,
they in my world?
delete them out of the code. Like, I just don't, yeah.
Well, see, but then, Emmy had a point the other night. And I want you to, you had the same problem with this theory that you have with all religions, which is
It just, I mean, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I remember having just a little mentee bee the other night when we were talking about it, because part of it was just, it can't be that simple, first off. But second off, I think about all the bad shit that happens around people all the time. Like, good people, bad things happen too.
Yeah.
And it can't just be you're making that reality. Why on earth would people make that reality for themselves? And I related that to religion because I am not a religious person, and thinking about all the bad things that happen all the time. I'm like, what God would let that happen? And that's just me. I respect everyone's religions, obviously. Like, as long as you're living the life that makes you happy, that's fine. But I don't believe in religion personally.
But what if that's part of the program to help you grow into that next dimension, level, whatever it is that's just, it's built into the program and how you react to seeing good things happen to bad people.
Yeah. Well, and think about it. The absence of adversity is the absence of any growth. If we lived in a perfect world, there would be no reason to grow any farther along, whether that be spiritually, whether that be physically, whether that be it just doesn't matter. It's perfect. Doesn't need to be changed. There's nothing that needs to be added or subtracted from this perfect universe.
But some of those things are so bad.
Some of them are absolutely horrible.
Like,
Yeah.
atrocities. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
well,
It's just like,
atrocities.
why does that need to be?
Stephen Fry
there?
often talks about a specific type of parasite that is in Africa that gets its sole existence is to lay eggs behind someone's eyeball, and then its young invade the eyeball, and it causes children to go blind in Africa. And he said, what purpose does this thing serve other than to cause absolute misery?
That's also how I feel about mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
There are a number of organisms that would fit into that category.
Yeah,
Of,
but why do they exist?
Yeah, why do they exist?
Why does
Yeah.
that exist?
But does it exist? I guess that's so you jump into, I just will use this as a referral or a reference point, like GTA, right?
Yeah.
Steal a car, turn on the radio, and there's news. Doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a narrative that somebody programmed into it for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So does that parasite exist? Do the bad things exist? Or are you making them exist? And why would you make them exist? To grow? I don't know. But I mean,
I just,
if you really take
it was
that
too
and
much.
you are nothing but pure energy and you're putting this on for yourself, you've made that choice at some point, right?
yeah.
Well, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That we don't know that the children in Africa are actually suffering.
We don't know that there are children.
We
in
don't know
Africa.
that there's even an Africa,
Right.
unless we put our foot there. And,
But even if we put our foot there, once we leave,
does it still
is
exist?
it still there?
Yeah, right. And a lot of people out there might be like, "Wow, this is a really selfish view on things." But we're just exploring the idea. What if you are the one behind this whole thing? Like, let's just explore that. When I walk out of a room, you guys literally cease to exist, but the program that I've developed has, I've told it they have lives. So the next time I see them, they're going to catch me up on those lives that have happened away from me. Do I know that those things have taken place? No. Any more than like on GTA, you run into one NPC here, drive down the road, you play the game for a little while, a couple hours later, you see that same NPC in another location. He's like, oh man, I've been doing this, I've been over there. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, except on a massive level, increase.
So I'm glad that you brought up like the selfishness of it, of this theory, because when I think about it, and if like this is actually what's going on, I think about, well, what would make people even care about others then?
Yeah.
Like,
where would the empathy even be?
Where would the empathy even be if this is the case? And again, that's why when we talked about it the other night, I was like, that's something I can't even think of.
Right. But see, therein itself is you. You're the empathy. Because you don't know that this is the way that it is, you become empathetic, you give aid, you give help to individuals around you, not even realizing that they're not around.
You're scoring XP points.
Right. Well, and that's something that Grant and I have talked about. In a lot of modern video games, they give you a choice, a good choice, a bad choice. Well, now they can track this online. Who's making what choices? It is overwhelmingly positive that people are making the good choice, not just to get the good ending, but just people are intrinsically good, whether or not we want to admit that, because the news tells us that it's not. And I've seen a whole lot of horrors in my life, and so this is kind of my attitude towards it. People are intrinsically good, even video gamers who know the minute I turn this off, all those digital people will just fade away. It doesn't matter. They're still making choices to help people, even though the reward is smaller. It may be more difficult, and programmers do this on purpose. To do the right thing is more difficult. To do the right thing, you won't get as much gold, runes, it doesn't matter. But people are still making that right choice. And I think that in itself, is a testament to humanity. So maybe if this is all just some great big self-stimulating simulation, are you making the right choice anyway? Is someone out there a consciousness? And here's the deal. We all feel that, well, it's got to be me because I'm the one who's conscious, right? Right. I'm the one seeing from the world. So maybe that should be a motivator. Are you making the right choice? Are you doing the right thing? But the Buddha, who was not a god, he was just a man who became enlightened. He used to say things like this that were very much this, but you're trying to tell it to somebody, what?
Thousands
2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago. You're trying to make people understand.
When you didn't have the parallel of video games.
Right. Or even movies or anything other than writing down on, papyrus reed. You're trying to tell people the power of your reality is in your mind. That's what he said.
Well, and that leads to, if you've seen it or haven't seen it, The Secret, right? The manifestation. That there's people out there that will be like, I made a vision board. And there was in The Secret, there's a guy that makes a vision board, and he has his house on it, elaborate home. Through a series of moves and more success and whatever, they get packed away and put away in storage for a long time. It's like 7 years later, and he's made it. He's become, I can't remember what it was, an author or something that he's always wanted to be. And he pulls out the vision board, and it's like sitting in the corner, whatever, and his son comes in, and he's like, Dad, that's our house. From 7 years prior that this guy had completely basically forgotten about, but manifested the success that got him the house that he had wanted.
When can I do that?
But you can. That's the thing.
That's the secret.
All of these people are saying, if you believe it, it will happen.
Yeah.
Like self-made man kind of stuff. And there's numerous it isn't a one-off. There's a ton of people that
Mostly
do this.
massively successful people who have come forward and said, "This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I manifest my own reality. I don't let anyone else." And I know, like, there's a lot of dejectors to this, right? But
It's Steve.
now hang on. Do you react to the world around you? Are you being pushed through the world around you, or are you pushing through the world around you? Therein lies the difference. Are you making things happen, or are things happening? There's the difference. And I really do feel that a lot of people who feel like, well, there's, so many bad things that have happened to me. Okay, well, are you in the corner allowing people to throw the can at you? Or are you standing up and walking across that room and taking control of this situation? There's two different people in this world. There's doers and those who have things done to them.
I don't believe that, to be honest. I believe it's a mixture a lot of the time. Like, there are things that just happen to you, and what are you supposed to do about them other than move on? But I don't think it's just black and white like that. I really don't.
Yeah, I think there's more elements. I mean, that is one of the elements. But I think a lot of successful people have an advantage when they're born.
Exactly.
Of, the family they're born into, the country they're born in. Everyone has certain advantages and disadvantages, and it's what you do with those that matters. But
so what about those who didn't?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the person who came from nothing that became, hugely successful. But there's also a lot of people that kind of just fell into it and are also successful because they amplified what they already had.
And thinking about privilege on a different level, too. There are things that shouldn't matter that do, obviously, like race, for instance. You're going to be more successful if you're white in this country. That's the way it is, unfortunately, because we are based on a racist system.
Yeah, and some people are just born more attractive than others, and that gives you an advantage in certain ways. And you have different mental abilities. Everyone has different advantages and different
male, female. It's like
right.
Yeah.
So do we take these disadvantages, put them in our pocket, and go, well, that's why I can't do anything?
No.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is these people that you're talking about, the wildly successful ones that manifested it. I'm like, I want to know their circumstances.
And that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, luck plays into it.
Yes.
But not all of these people were born into advantage.
No.
But that's the
not
thing.
all of these people were dastardly good looking.
Right.
Like there's a practice that can be done. And the Buddha said, you cannot control the world around you.
But you can control yourself.
But you can control your own thoughts.
Yes,
Right.
but in 1948, we would have never been able to have a woman president, no matter how hard they applied themselves or anything like that. It just wouldn't have happened. There are certain things there are walls that you just cannot get past. And, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of everything, but I think that's, luck and stuff plays into it.
But are those things reality? Really, though? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
1948, none of us were around. We hear about it. But was it there? Or is it just the storyline that you're working through at this point?
And based on the level of discussion we're having here, everything is filtered through your own perception anyway.
Right.
So all of this stuff is just your own delusion.
Maybe we're just pessimistic. I don't know.
Well, and again, what the Buddha said, it's your reality is your reaction to the world around you. You can change that. I changed it.
Oh yeah, that's
I have that
absolutely
ability to change the reality.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. It's just that it's not unlimited as to what you can do. There are certain constraints.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to go off, think to, meditate for a little while, suddenly become king of the world. That's not the way it's going to work. But there are certain things that I do believe that you can manifest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I do believe language is a big deal in this, like saying, oh, I'm never going to get this, or instead of saying when I get this, you know what I mean? Like when I get this.
One of the big secrets to it is believing you already have it.
Get rid of the imposter syndrome.
Correct. Not when I have $1 million. I already am acting in one. I have the $1 million.
Yeah.
Am I going to go buy a
like, I wish, man.
Right?
And he's going to buy a robot dog with a flamethrower attached.
Right. I did cancel that order. But I really want it.
Was it a scam?
No.
No.
They're real.
Oh God.
It's the robot dog with the flamethrower.
No one should
In
have
his
that.
reality, they're real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not in mine then.
No, for like 10 grand, you can have one. But believing that you're already successful or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power behind that. I mean, if it's the I can't, everybody's after me. Well, then
Don't
they
point
are.
at me. God.
If it's the Emmy way of thinking,
But it's the
Eeyore.
Yeah, exactly. Guess it's gonna rain.
It is raining. Or is
Well,
it?
But that's the thing. So even today, it's raining out, and people are like, "Hey, it's raining," and I'm like, "The rain's
Me.
awesome." Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind it. You get dried off. I was out in it a lot this morning, and it was fine. I'm like, we need the rain. The rain's cool. Whatever.
But
So it's just
you're
that
complaining about a
It's
perception
how
screw
you-
and you're
it's-
tired.
Yeah, well, the screw in the tire.
It's how you react.
It's how you react.
So I've got a friend. We all have a friend. Her name is Belle. She works here at the radio station, and she says that there are people of light.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that just, not going to go as far as to say like no matter what happens to them, but there are people who just brighten up a room with their attitude, with the way that they look at things. They can make the situation better. You ever got that friend who is just willing to joke with you, and even though they're completely stressed out, you can't really see it? And I don't mean like the people who are trying to hide it. They just react to everything differently, and you're almost frustratingly so sometimes. Steve, our own Steve Sisson, is one of these people. He is a person of light. Like, there are heavy stressful situations
Give me some of that, man.
that I've actually seen Steve in. He's in there trying to get things built for this station at the last minute, and they're incredibly complicated. And he's laughing and smiling, and like, it's no big deal. It's just another day. Just another emergency. Relax. Everything's
Place is
good.
on fire.
We're seconds away from disaster.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. We'll come out on top.
But you have positive and negative energy.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. I mean, that's what makes energy, is the reaction of positive and negative. So you're going to have those two types of things, and you're going to have somebody that's a little more neutral, maybe. But it's just the thing that blows my mind about this theory is limiting factors, right? They go, what's the fastest that anything can move? Speed of light.
Yeah.
But
then
then you come up with quantum entanglement, where the particles react exactly at the same time, even if they're millennia of light years apart.
And these three physicists, that's where a lot of their work
Well, and I
is
think
based in.
they determined that it wasn't a predetermined outcome. Like, if you have like a white marble and a black marble, and you don't know you put them in two boxes, you don't know which one is in which. You take it to the other side of the planet, you open up the box, and there's a black marble. You instantly know that the other box has a white marble in it. But that was determined ahead of time, because those marbles were always either white or black. And I think what they've determined is that they are either one until you open the box.
observe
Until the
it.
box is open.
And so then how did that information about the other one becoming either white or black
So it's kind
get
of like
transferred to it?
Schrodinger's cat kind
Kind
of
of,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, but it's like if the first example where you have a white marble and a black marble in two boxes, that doesn't violate the speed of light, because no information actually transmitted from one to the other. But if the marble is either white or black until you open the box, then how did the other box become the opposite?
How did it
Instantaneously.
know
Yeah.
to become the white or the black marble?
And that's what they've proven, is that that's what happens.
And that happens through quantum entanglement, faster than the speed of light. That type of information is passed through. So again, this is another one of those situations where it's evidence, some say proof, but I'm going to say it's evidence that the universe itself is actually not real in the sense that we have kind of grown up believing that it is. That we all firmly kind of believe in this thought. It's actually massively important to our psyche that I exist here. I exist within this universe. I am in it, just like one of the marbles in the box. I am in the universe. But when you start looking at things at the quantum level, not really. Things go farther past that. And it's really hard to explain. And there are a lot of individuals out there who have tried to teach that to us. And this is something that I've shared before, where it's like, when I die, the only thing that I want to happen is an awakening of some sort. I just want to be able to see how big reality is. And I'm going to use the word reality instead of the universe, because the universe, after looking at like a lot of this research and having these discussions, the universe might not even be a place.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But reality itself and the way that I've looked at it has really come into question.
Well,
for me
it's,
lately.
it's kind of the old analogy from Animal House when they're sitting around drinking and smoking weed, and they're like, "What if we're like on a molecule in a giant's thumbnail?" Like,
What if you are?
maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Horton here's
What
a
if it-
who.
Exactly.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'd live that life.
But what if it is like, for whatever reason, I've put myself here, of all places, and at the end of your life cycle, you take your goggles off and you're like, whoa, that was trippy. And it was like 20 minutes.
yeah, the game of Aaron is awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back and play as Floyd.
Yeah.
I want to see what this looks like from his side.
Yeah.
I'm never logging in again.
Well, but really, I mean, think about it. We go home, and Grant and Shreff and I, tonight, it's guys' night. We don't get together.
You log on.
Mm-hmm.
We log on, and we go and we do stuff. Why do we do stuff? Because we want to gather the things.
Yep.
What do the things matter? Not at all.
Not at all.
But what are we doing? We're
What's
going,
life, Aaron?
Mm.
Right?
What's
Keep going.
life?
Yeah.
Because in that game,
What is life?
yeah, right.
But
But
think
in
about
that
it.
game, the one that we're playing, you go in, so a looter shooter, right? And maybe to the rest of the stuff in that game, that's their reality. They're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, but maybe they think they are. Because when I go in, there he is.
Yep.
I can see the guy. I can take his stuff. And I'm gathering all these things, much like real life, that in the end, what's it matter?
Yeah.
And that it's just, you start really kind of thinking about this. And ever since you brought it up, I don't know, a week or so ago, I've been like, that's hard to swallow, I
Mhm.
guess.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
I can't walk through walls. Can I? I mean,
Well, and see, okay, so apply there are rules in every game. There's rules in every
Mhm.
single universe that we have made, right? And right now, we're literally just, recorded responses and pixels, and when you turn it off, it's gone. But as we were saying before, if we're playing an Unreal Engine to the nth power, and artificial intelligence has gotten to the, if we look at what they can do with what they deem as AI now, but what if we actually do one day find that spark? What if we do create that spark where it is self-aware? Okay, I don't care how many algorithms you hook up to Google. It is never going to be I am.
it's never going to be
Okay,
life.
that's the spark. I am. That's artificial intelligence. And we're on our way to trying to figure out how to do that. That's the devil in the box, right? Don't let it out, because what happens then? That's a whole different show, but it's the idea that what if we have, or on some crazy level, another species or whatever we truly are has figured that out. And we're in that game
Mm-hmm.
where, our NPCs are so intelligent that we have actually different lives. They do go off and live an entire life. They do go off and have their own children because we've programmed them to do so. But then we hit the spark, and that that NPC can now go, I am, and it makes choices around you. It makes choices that you're unaware of. It makes choices for itself that don't affect you, that don't have an influence on your playthrough. What a game that would be. Life. And what if it's just the game of life? Even higher than that, the Buddha himself was like, you do come back. You do log in over and over and over again.
I don't want.
But he calls this realm where we're at samsara. We're stuck here. It's not our choice to log in or not, because we haven't figured out where the damn door is. Mm-hmm. Those who become enlightened figure all of it out.
Yeah.
Where and you know, we say that and people are like, so they just have endless knowledge? No. They know where the door is.
Yeah. Yeah, because none of us chose to log in the first place.
No.
I mean, we just are here.
Yeah.
We didn't consciously choose to be here. So it's kind of like you just kind of find yourself in this reality and you got to figure it out as you go along.
And that's really what, and I mean,
where's the walkthrough?
Right? Yeah. Where's the tutorial levels, right?
Yeah. Someone turn my tooltips
on. Well, like we were talking about though, is finding that door, going through enough times that whatever that energy is kind of elevated to that next level. Whether
the consciousness.
that be the consciousness, whether that be because they need mental conscious warriors for some bigger interuniversal mind battle, or you're just elevated to that next level where, okay, now you get to play through, but you're either hit with all these different interactions or it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It's a different planet. It's a different whatever it is, to observe that consciousness that maybe you're not all that important.
Right.
Well, and you're addressing like when Bob Lazar and others, and this is the scary part, it wasn't just Bob Lazar, but others who have said, you know, that they were involved in these major government programs where they had these conversations with ETs, interdimensional beings, however we're defining them now. And those things said, your body is nothing more than a vessel. Within that vessel is the soul.
Mashed potatoes.
Right. A soul and mashed potatoes. But you're a vessel. You're a container for whatever energy that is. And you're addressing like, well, why, you know, put me through this? What is this? Well, we don't know what they come from. We don't know what their world is like, or their dimension. We don't know what battles they're facing. Maybe I need individuals who have grit. Maybe I need individuals who have gone through this training program of life over and over and over and over just to become more mentally strong and more mentally strong, to go fight, like you said, some great mind battle that we don't understand. Or maybe it's just to self-improve. You know, you're like, you got a bad attitude. It's time you go hook up to the Floyd system one more time and see if you can do better than you did yesterday. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know. And I love not knowing.
Well, and it just sparks so many other conversations, like the whole 23 grams thing, like at death.
Is that proven? Is that proven though?
It is. There were studies done on it that at death, the body ends up weighing like 23 grams less than when it was alive. What is that?
I want to read into that a little bit more.
Is that energy that has left? Is it a soul? Is it what is that?
What left the room?
What left the body?
Well, and that would denote mass, right?
Right.
On some level.
Well, maybe it's just poop. Maybe it was just poop that left the body.
But energy's not created nor destroyed, right?
Correct.
Well, but it can be evacuated.
Yes.
It always turns to poop.
That's because I'm here.
Yeah, it doesn't when she's not here.
I love to talk about poop.
But if it's neither created nor destroyed, and we are energy, I mean, we know that. The wall's energy. Everything's energy that creates whatever the jackalope on the table is. It's not created nor destroyed. when you burn wood, it still weighs the same. It's just the moisture that's left it is the difference in it, but it's not gone.
Mhm.
Like it's there.
It just changed its form.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? What is that leaves? Is it the energy? Is it then immediately quantum entangled with something across the megaverse?
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
And you pop over there and you see all the rest of it and you're like, oh. And then they're like, well, that was good. But now you're going back.
Yeah. But you're not there yet. Or
and if you really think about if you are energy and you are quantum entangled, how many more of you could be wherever? Different dimensions, different. So is this it? Is this the only thing? I don't think so.
No, I think even mathematically, mathematically, once they get down doing the math, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I think Hawking figured out that you have to have multi-universe to make the math balance out correctly. I think that's exactly how he figured it. It's kind of just like the math doesn't work out for, physics and the nature of the universe unless we include what we call dark matter.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what it is.
We know it has to exist.
It has to. Yeah. In the math says this is going to happen, but we just don't have a way to measure it as of yet.
We have no way to prove it exists.
We have no way to
aside
prove
from saying
besides
it
the
has
math
to exist.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I will say the majority of and I don't think all people can double check everything, but this would be a lot of work. The majority of the math that they put forward like this, where they're saying we have to include that. Other scientists later on, they come through and they're like, okay, so now we have the ability to measure that. Does this make sense? And it does. The majority of the time. They're like, okay, well, that was a fantastic theory and it paid out. And we can actually say now that, yes, this is here and that makes sense. It's kind of like the scientists who came forward and basically said, there has to be Planet X.
Yeah.
Right.
The galaxy, or the solar system and the gravity that we're seeing here, it says that there's a planet there. Whether we want to say it's there or not, the math says it's there. So I trust that. And that's one thing about math. You can usually say it's good to go.
Well, and it was Neil deGrasse Tyson was interviewing somebody. I think we've all seen that, where the guy said the more he dug into the universe and particles and what it was all binary.
That was during
down to ones and zeros.
It was during a conference, and I can't remember the scientist's name, but he has discovered that once you boil everything down, and this is like a lot of work. This is like, I think, his life's work. The universe is based on binary code.
Right. So if that's the case, computer program.
And
See,
and
if
it very
this
well
is really
could be.
my consciousness, though, it's like, why is there math in the first place?
Yeah.
Because it needs a governance system. You know what I mean? Like, but see, therein lies the experience itself. If you came into this experience of reality or life or however you want to say it, knowing everything, then there's no reason to be here. There's no reason to do it. You know everything.
I'm cool with not knowing everything.
Right?
I'm cool with that.
It's kind of like having the cheat codes to a video game. Well, it's no fun anymore.
Right.
There's no challenge.
Well, okay, hold on. I do want that walkthrough, though.
Yeah, it would be very nice if you could just find that.
At least a
'cause then you're
tutorial.
just gonna read ahead.
Yeah.
That's true.
A tutorial would have been awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But at the so we got to think about. It just makes me think more about like the Buddhism that I've studied, where Siddhartha Gautama was basically trying to tell people, the nature of all reality is within your mind. Things are going to happen out here. That's the nature of this reality. But you control what's up here on such a grand scale that it's hard to describe. And even during meditation, I've gone someplace after years and years of meditating and just thinking, okay, well, this is it. I got to try and figure it. Like for a long time, I was like, what's the draw? You know, like sitting there trying to get all these thoughts out of your mind and blah, blah, blah. And it's just too much and it's never going to work. And then one day I went somewhere else and it was absolute emptiness. And I experienced such an emotional joy. Not because I was there, not because I'd finally reached there. It's just there. It's like walking into a dark room and you're overtaken with joy. And it shocked my system so dramatically, it pulled me out of it. Mm-hmm. And when I meditate now, I can only grasp that place for about a second to a second and a half. It's there. And to everyone who has gone there and can maintain that, that's the practice. It's getting there. It's calming that joy that's in that room and then staying there. Mm-hmm. I can never, ever describe in words what that was. But that was life-changing. Where it changed the way that I perceive myself, my thoughts, reality, my reaction to the world around me. It changed me at the most core levels. And if someone is able to get there, where did Buddha go? And where was Buddha trying to get us? Or, you know, there's so much more to it. And that's why, like, when I think about reality and I think about all this energy it's got potential to be anything at any point. What a fascinating idea. Mm-hmm. That I'm not saying that, like, we can sit in a chair and eventually change that table from a table to a rug. That's not going to happen. There's rules.
The spoon doesn't exist.
Right.
But the spoon doesn't really exist.
Right.
So maybe we can't break the rules, but maybe we can bend them. Maybe I can manifest things. I've told you more than once. Mm-hmm. I manifested you.
How does that make you feel, huh?
But like, seriously.
I don't know if he manifested me or not. I'd like to think that he did, though.
Maybe.
I manifested you.
I like
so that you can make me laugh.
Aaron just showed up. He invited himself.
Maybe Aaron manifested us, where he's like, I need people to talk about this crap. I need these people in my life.
That's probably the most likely explanation, actually.
Look, it's like a romantic sentiment, but the fact of the matter is, I feel that I did. On some level, I manifested my wife into my life. That doesn't mean that, like, I created her from dust. It just means I put an energy out there.
See?
And she answered it.
And that becomes that global consciousness almost, right? So
yes.
Let's say you take one thing and you divide it, like you said, into 10 billion pieces. We're each a piece of that. Because for a long time, you would, run into somebody that you hadn't seen for a while. Like, hey, Floyd, how you doing? You're like, I'm good. I got this nagging feeling, though. And you're like, well, what is it? And you're like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Poop. But something, poop. but something is affecting part of the energy that you are part of, and you're picking up on it.
And you're picking up on it.
Yeah.
Poop.
That's why, right. That's why a lot of times, like, and I can't tell you how many times I've personally experienced this where I'm like, something's going on. And I'll call somebody.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And something's happened.
Yeah.
We've all had that. Everybody out there has had that.
Well, and I had...
The sixth sense, baby.
From?
I had a dream of this gal I used to work with. I had a dream of her not too long ago, and I even told Floyd about it. I was like, I can't remember what happened in the dream, but I do remember her being sad. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go check on her. Turns out she's been through a lot of shit lately. Mm-hmm. So no wonder she wasn't feeling
But
the
you
best.
hadn't talked to her.
No, absolutely
but
not.
As part of that energy, that global consciousness. So maybe it's not a simulation, but I think that's that energy field that we all do exist in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why different things impact people on a greater level than just themselves.
I can't remember the names to any of this stuff, folks, so you're going to have to look it up yourselves. But there are random number generators placed throughout the world randomly. These number generators just spit out crazy high numbers for no reason. They just do it. I can't remember what experiment it was linked to, but they all became very succinct. And I'm not saying like absolutely synced, but there was a measurable succinction. Am I using that word correctly, Steve?
Close enough, yeah.
Okay.
Synchronization.
Like synchronization.
Yeah.
Well, that's, I didn't want to use the word
because
synchronization.
Right, but it's not synchronized. It's like there's a more than a random pattern in there.
Right.
Yeah.
It was measurable.
Yeah.
Kinda synchronized.
During 9/11.
Pseudo-synced.
When 9/11 happened, the world reacted in such a way it influenced these random number generators. And scientists went, holy shit. We can actually measure that in a device that is not hooked up to anyone, but the world reacted in such a way
The
all at
energy
once
reacted.
that the energy affected random number generators the world over. Science measured the world's reaction to 9/11. Science can measure yogurt's reaction to you.
Yogurt?
That
Not
yogurt
the
is
Spaceballs guy. The actual-
yogurt.
Different.
Yeah.
Yogurt is a living thing.
Those probiotics, you know.
And there's a device that you could put on there and you can see
Mhm.
what the yogurt's doing.
Is it scared of us?
If you're standing
Define
close to
scared.
the yogurt and you start talking about a traumatic event, the yogurt will react
Oh my god.
measurably.
Yes.
If you start
Why is
thinking,
yogurt cute now? I don't know.
right? Well, yogurt is alive.
Eat you.
I must still eat it.
It's like a symbiotic relationship. You help each
But
other.
see,
No.
so when two lovers come together, their hearts,
Me and
their
yogurt.
heartbeats will synchronize.
I have heard that
They'll
before,
get in
yeah.
tune.
Mm-hmm.
Which
We-
I truly believe ours do.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can sync up. That's measurable. When people approach a horse and get close, the horse's calm nature can affect that human being physiologically. That is why horse therapy has taken off, because horses can have a measurable therapeutic effect on us through nothing more than an energy that we cannot see, but we have to feel. How impactful is that in our daily lives?
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even know it. And again, this is just building upon the premise that this potential energy that is around us all the time could be nothing more than a projection, but not in the way that we think. Not in the way that, like, it's a projection on a screen or a projection of a hologram. A projection on a level that we do not yet understand. Maybe spiritually, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
A spiritual projection is reality. Quite
Yeah.
possibly.
I think that's one of the things with quantum mechanics is we have a hard time comprehending it because we have to relate it to analogies that exist in the physical Newtonian physics world. Like the whole marble analogy kind of makes sense, but it's not really accurate. You know, all they're talking about is the spin of particles, and even the spin isn't a spin. It's just a intrinsic angular momentum.
Movement.
And
right.
so, you know, to take it and amplify it to like a rock or something like that is a quantum leap. But, you know, it's kind of like one of those, we have to relate it to something that makes sense to us.
Mhm.
And so it's probably something that we don't even understand that we don't understand it yet. But we know that there's something going on. We just can't quite figure out what it is yet.
Yeah. Do you buy into string theory?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
So do I.
So do I.
I buy into string theory, which means that fundamentally the entire universe is nothing more than frequency. We are literally living music on some level, which is just amazing.
Yeah, because music is one of those things. Like it is an abstract kind of thing, and humans have a specific reaction to it. But all it is vibrations and mathematical, synchronized different frequencies that sound good together to us.
Yeah,
there's a lot of dissonant stuff that we don't like. But it's a really abstract thing. Like, what is it, and what meaning does it have?
And what's its connection to mathematics?
Right.
Because there's a connection to mathematics.
Absolutely.
I mean, music theory. I was like, oh, I'll drift through this class.
Yeah.
No, you do not.
Yeah, and the thing is, why do we like it? Why do we like certain sounds that have certain harmonics and match up and don't match up in certain ways? Why do we find that enjoyable? Why does it stir emotions in us?
It's literally changes.
Yeah, but all it is just like different frequencies.
Yeah.
It's not anything like tangible or real.
So maybe the secret is realizing that you cannot control anything outside of yourself. But even being able to control your reaction to the world is worth the time to put into that practice. Is it worth the time to sit, create a vision board? Is it worth the time to write down, I am a blah, 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 blah. You fold it up, you put it in your pocket, you pull it out, you read it every day. I am this. And you start to believe it. And then all of a sudden, one day you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh, wow, I'm a this. I did it. Wow, I guess, wow.
Yep.
Can you manifest?
Are you changing the frequency? Are you changing the energy?
Changing the frequency, changing the energy.
And I firmly believe you can.
And Buddha believed that one day, if we all just sit and figure it out, world peace could be achieved. If we all just started to figure this out together, that reality is in your mind. You manifest it. You create it. Maybe it's not the reality that you want. Maybe it's not going to save the world. But if you can save just this little part.
I would like everyone to know that I'm very happy in my life right now, even though I am a pessimistic person.
I'm glad that you brought that idea back though, because you're right. That's the wall that I hit on everything, where it's like, oh, this fantastic being it makes everything great. I don't see anything being great. I see a lot of people starving the world over. I see a lot of misery here. But the one thing the Buddha taught us, okay, and I realize I'm preaching a lot of Buddhism here, but it's a practice, not a religion, in my opinion, is that the world is misery. This is the fundamental reality of this reality that we live in. It is miserable. No matter how high you get, there will be a low. No matter what you do, we will get sick and die. No matter how long you spend with someone, it's not going to be forever. No matter how beautiful that cup, it will eventually break. There is an ending to all things. One day that mountain outside, no matter how big and beautiful it is, will be dust. It may take a long time, but it will turn to dust.
But did it ever exist in the first place?
But did it ever exist?
See, now we're just going in circles.
But that's what it is. I think the whole thing is cyclical.
Yeah.
I think it's just that energy having to move around. It's got to do something. Oh, let's create this thing.
Is the apple red or is it green? I don't know until I look at it. But even then, I can only experience this universe through 5, 6, possibly, senses.
For now.
And most of them are lying to you.
And most of them are lying to me. Exactly. But our brain is a processing center. Our brain does take energy and create solid matter out of it, because you can walk up and touch the wall. And they've proven that before you got there, that wall might not have existed. It's pretty incredible.
Think about that.
Think about that. Have fun sleeping tonight, folks. You've been watching Jackalopes Explore.
Hey there, you on the screen. Do you think this world is really what it seems? Look around, everything's a little too clean. Just like pixels in a crazy dream. Every path you walk, every choice you fake, it's a code I wrote, make no mistake. You're in a maze, can't find the end, just a puppet on strings, my dear friend. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. Ha, ha, you're in a simulation, oh, what fun. Watch out for glitches, cause you're not the one. Do you ever wonder why the sky's so blue? It's just a program, a code I threw. NPCs smiling, all just for you. But they don't know they're fake, they haven't a clue. Every step you take, every move you make, it's all part of the game, a little give and take. You're not in control, no, not at all. You're just a player in this virtual sprawl. Press start to continue, there's no escape. Caught in the web of this digital tape. You think you're free, but it's all a fake. A clever design, a coded landscape. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. Ha, ha, you're in a simulation, oh, what fun. Watch out for glitches, cause you're not the one. So laugh it off, take it in stride. You're in a simulation, enjoy the ride. Ha, ha, you're in a simulation, don't be shy. Just play along until the day you die. Oh, you're in a simulation, can't you see? Stuck in a video game, oh, it's just me. Ha, ha, you're in a simulation, oh, what fun. Watch out for glitches, cause you're not the one.